Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to learn about TOEFL structure. The topic is sentences with reduced clauses. There are two types of clauses that can be reduced in English. The first is adjective clause. The second is adverb clause. Now, we are talking about reduced adjective clause. The first one, to reduce an adjective clause, we can omit the adjective clause connector, which is also the subject of the clause, and the be verb or the to be. For example, the girl who is sitting next to me is my student. In this sentence, the adjective clause who is sitting next to me can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector, which is also the subject, who, and the to be is. So, the sentence will be, the girl sitting next to me is my student. The second example, the car which was bought last week will arrive soon. In this sentence, the adjective clause which was bought last week can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector which and the to be was. So, the sentence will be, the car bought last week will arrive soon. The next example, the book that is on the table is mine. In this sentence, the adjective clause that is on the table can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector that and also the to be is. So, the sentence will be, the book on the table is mine. The second, if there is no be verb or if there is no to be in the adjective clause, we can omit the connector and change the verb into the ing form or verb ing. For example, I don't understand the article which appears in today's paper. In this sentence, the adjective clause which appears in today's paper can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector which and change the verb appears into appearing. So, the sentence will be, I don't understand the article appearing in today's paper. The third, an adjective clause can only be reduced if the connector is also the subject of the clause. It means that the adjective clause connector should be followed directly by the verb. In the sentence, the woman that I just met is the tour guide, cannot be reduced because the adjective clause connector that is followed by a subject I. So, the adjective clause that I just met is not reduced. The fourth, if an adjective clause set off with commas, the reduced clause can appear at the front of the sentence. For example, the White House, which is located in Washington, is the home of the president. In this sentence, the adjective clause, which is located in Washington, can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector which and the to be is. So, the sentence will be, the White House located in Washington is the home of the president. The reduced adjective clause located in Washington can appear at the front of the sentence. As the third example, located in Washington, the White House is the home of the president. Another example, the president who is now preparing to give a speech is meeting with his advisors. In this sentence, the adjective clause who is now preparing to give a speech can be reduced by omitting the adjective clause connector who and the to be is. The sentence will be, the president now preparing to give a speech is meeting with his advisors. The reduced adjective clause now preparing to give a speech can appear at the front of the sentence. So, the sentence will be, now preparing to give a speech, the president is meeting with his advisors. As the conclusion of reduced adjective clause, if there is a to be in the adjective clause, we should omit the adjective clause connector and the to be. Meanwhile, if there is no to be in the adjective clause, we should omit the adjective clause connector and change the verb into verb ing. Let's have the exercise. Small companies may take their goods abroad for trade shows without paying foreign value-added taxes by acquiring blah 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 an ATA carnet. To complete this sentence, we need an object from the verb acquiring and followed by a reduced adjective clause. Let's check the answer. A. A document calls. Incorrect, because the verb should be in the form of verb 3. B. A document called. The correct answer, because this is the correct structure for completing this sentence. After an object, a document, followed by a reduced adjective clause, called. From the adjective clause, a document which is called. C. Calls a document. Incorrect. D. Called a document. Incorrect, because they have incorrect structure for completing this sentence. So, the complete sentence is, small companies may take their goods abroad for trade shows without paying foreign value-added taxes by acquiring a document called an ATA carnet. Number 2. Blah 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 artifacts from the early Chinese dynasties. Numerous archaeologists have explored the southern Silk Road. This sentence consists of two clauses. The first is the adjective clause, blah 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 artifacts from the early Chinese dynasties. The second is the main clause, numerous archaeologists have explored the southern Silk Road. We have to complete this sentence by using a reduced adjective clause in the beginning of the sentence. Let's check the answer. A. They were searching for. Incorrect, because it is not the structure for reduced adjective clause. B. It was a search for. Incorrect, because it is not the structure for reduced adjective clause. C. Search for. Incorrect, because the verb is in the form of verb 3, so this is for passive voice. D. Searching for. The correct answer, because the reduced adjective clause is for an active form. So, the verb should be in the form of verb ing. The complete sentence is, searching for artifacts from the early Chinese dynasties, numerous archaeologists have explored the southern Silk Road. Now, we are talking about reduced adverb clause. The first, to reduce an adverb clause, we should omit the subject and the be verb or the to be from the adverb clause, while the adverb connector remains. For example, although he is not selected for the team, he attends the games as a fan. In this sentence, the adverb clause, although he is not selected for the team, can be reduced by omitting the subject he and the to be is. So, the sentence will be, although not selected for the team, he attends the games as a fan. The second example, when you are ready, you can begin your speech. In this sentence, the adverb clause when you are ready can be reduced by omitting the subject you and the to be are. So, the sentence will be, when ready, you can begin your speech. The second one, if there is no be verb or to be in the adverb clause, we can omit the subject and change the verb into the ing form. For example, although he feels unwell, my brother goes to school. In this sentence, the adverb clause, although he feels unwell, can be reduced by omitting the subject he and change the verb feels into ing form feeling. So, the sentence will be, although feeling unwell, my brother goes to school. The second example, when you give a speech, you should speak loudly. In this sentence, the adverb clause when you give a speech can be reduced by omitting the subject you and change the verb give into verb ing giving. So, the sentence will be, when giving a speech, you should speak loudly. The conclusion of reduced adverb clause is when there is a be verb or to be in the adverb clause, we should omit the subject and the to be. Meanwhile, if there is no to be in the adverb clause, we should omit the subject and change the verb into verb ing. The adverb clause connectors are after, before, since, while, if, unless, whether, although, though, once, until, when, whenever, where, wherever, as. Let's discuss the exercise. When blah 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 nests during spring nesting season, Canadian geese are fiercely territorial. This sentence has two clauses. The first is the adverb clause, when blah 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 nests during spring nesting season. The second is the main clause, Canadian geese are fiercely territorial. We should notice the adverb clause connector when, so we will complete the adverb clause by choosing an appropriate verb for a reduced adverb clause. Let's check the answer. A. Building. The correct answer. Because the sentence is in the form of an active sentence, after the adverb clause connector should be followed by verb ing. When building nests during spring nesting season. B. Are building. Incorrect, because there is a to be are. In the reduced adverb clause, the to be should be omitted. C. Build. Incorrect, because it is verb 3. D. Are built. Incorrect, because there is to be and verb 3. So, the complete sentence is, when building nests during spring nesting season, Canadian geese are fiercely territorial.